My phone buzzed in the middle of a client meeting. A text from my wife, Emily. 10 words that tried to set my life on a timer. 9 days to consider keeping you. Day 1 starts now. I stepped out into the hallway and opened the full message. She had written 3 long paragraphs that read like a performance review. Too focused on work. Not romantic. Not helpful enough around the house. On and on. At the end, she offered me 9 days to prove I was worth keeping. I stared at the screen, not hurt, not shocked, just amazed at the nerve. She was treating our marriage like a probation period for a job I never asked for. The old version of me might have rushed out to buy flowers and rehearse apologies. Standing there in that corporate hallway, something clicked. If Emily gave me 9 days to prove myself, then those same 9 days were also mine to evaluate her. I typed back, "Interesting timing. I was thinking the same about you. Let the evaluation period begin." I slid the phone into my pocket and went back to the conference room. My coworkers noticed right away. I was calmer, sharper. When the client tried to lowball us, I did not scramble to sweeten the deal. I laid out our terms and let them sit with it. That evening, I came home to find Emily waiting in the living room with her arms crossed and a fixed stare. She had expected fear. She had not expected resolve. "We need to talk," she said. "About your message?" I asked, setting my briefcase down. Creative delivery. Most people save these talks for face-to-face. She blinked, thrown off by the tone. "This is not a joke. I am serious about this marriage evaluation." "So am I," I said, loosening my tie. Day 1 has already given me a few notes. What is that supposed to mean? It means any woman who hands her husband a performance review by text has some things to answer for in her own role. That is not how adults handle a marriage. Her mouth parted. This was not the script she wrote. "You think you can flip this on me?" she asked. "I am not flipping anything," I said. "You opened the door to evaluation. I am simply walking through it from both sides." She stood up too fast. "I listed specific issues with your behavior, and we will address them," I said. "But first, we are going to address issuing ultimatums by phone instead of having adult conversations and treating your husband like an employee under review." I was trying to make a point. "You did," I said. "Just not the one you thought." She stared at me for a long moment and realized the ground had shifted. "So what? You are not even going to try to fix the things I mentioned?" she asked. "Oh, I will be working on things over the next 8 days," I said. "My priorities may not match yours." I walked toward the kitchen. "What is for dinner? Or is cooking still on my list of failures?" "I ordered pizza," she said, voice smaller now. "Noted," I said. Day 1 entry. Wife orders takeout, while saying husband does not contribute to the household. I took a beer from the refrigerator and cracked it open. This is going to be an interesting week. She followed me in, unsettled. "You are acting different. You gave me 9 days to decide whether to keep you around," I said. "I am deciding." I took a slow sip and looked her in the eyes. "The real question is what you plan to do with your 9 days to convince me you are worth keeping." Silence stretched out between us. She had started this game believing she held every card. Now she could see she might have dealt herself a losing hand. "This is not how it was supposed to go," she muttered. "No," I said. "You expected panic. Maybe a rush of apologies. Maybe a shiny gift. Here is the truth about ultimatums. They cut both ways. You cannot demand respect while showing none." The doorbell rang. "I will get it," I said, walking past her. Day 1 dinner. Courtesy of the person who says I do not contribute. I paid the delivery driver and brought the box to the table. I could feel her eyes on me from the doorway. The balance had changed, and we both knew it. She had given me 9 days to prove my worth. She had also given me 9 days to remember it. I opened the box and set plates on the table. "What is the plan for tomorrow? More text messages? Or are we advancing to email?" She sat across from me, smaller in her seat than when I walked in. "I was trying to save our marriage," she said. "By threatening to end it," I answered. Duly noted for day 1. "That is an interesting strategy," I said, taking a bite of pizza. "Do not worry. I am taking this evaluation very seriously." I paused. We both are now. Day 2 started different. Instead of hovering around Emily to see what she needed before work, I focused on myself. I hit the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning for the first time in months. It is amazing how much energy shows up when you are not tiptoeing around someone else's mood. At the office, I called my college buddy, Mike Johnson. We had not talked in over a year because Emily complained whenever I tried making plans with friends. Man, where have you been? Mike boomed. We thought you were abducted. Just reordering priorities, I said. Are you free for drinks on Friday? Always. Everything all right? Better than all right, I told him. I am remembering who I used to be. That evening, Emily was waiting in the living room with that serious look again. Apparently, day 2 came with another review session. You left early without saying goodbye, she said. I went to the gym. You were asleep? I answered, hanging up my jacket. Is there a formal goodbye protocol in your scoring system? You never go to the gym. I used to go every day before we got married, I said. Funny how that turned out. She followed me into the kitchen while I set out ingredients for a real dinner instead of calling for takeout. Another thing I enjoyed before it became a talking point about how I do not help enough. What are you making? She asked. Chicken parmesan, I said. One of those meals I apparently never cook, according to your text. I could see her doing the math. She knew I cooked often, but admitting it would undercut her ultimatum. You do not usually make it on weeknights, she said. True, I replied. Usually I ask what you want and make that instead. Tonight, I am making what I want. I seasoned the chicken. Day 2 observation, I said. I forgot how satisfying it is to make choices based on my own preferences. She sat at the island and watched. You are really going to keep this up all week? Keep what up? I asked. Living my life? I dredged the chicken in breadcrumbs. You gave me 9 days to prove my worth. I am using them to remember what that worth is. I did not mean for you to become a completely different person. I am not different, I said. I am just done performing for an audience. She went quiet. The silence felt new, not tense, just uncertain. She was used to me checking her temperature, adjusting myself, and tiptoeing around sore spots. Tonight, I simply cooked dinner. Mike called the house phone earlier, she said eventually. Yes. We are grabbing drinks on Friday, I answered. You did not ask if I had plans. I looked up from the stove. Do you have plans? No, but you usually check first. And you usually had a reason I should cancel, I said. A headache, a family dinner, some emergency that turned out not to be an emergency. I flipped the chicken. Day 2 revelation. I have friends who actually want to see me. Shocking idea. I never stopped you from seeing your friends, she said. You did not have to stop me, I replied. You just made the cost higher than it was worth every time. She started to argue, then closed her mouth. We both knew it was true. So now you are going to ignore me for the next 7 days? She asked. I am not ignoring you, I said. I am refusing to rank your mood above everything else in my life. I plated dinner and set a portion in front of her. There is a difference. She took a bite. Her expression softened. This is really good. I know, I said. I am a decent cook when I am not second-guessing every ingredient. We ate mostly in quiet. She kept glancing over like I was a puzzle she could not solve. Finally, she spoke. I was trying to fix things, she said. I thought if I threatened to leave unless you met certain standards, you would pay attention. You have been distant lately. I set my fork down and looked her in the eye. I have been distant because every talk turns into a critique. Every suggestion I make gets shot down. Every plan I propose gets edited until it barely resembles what I wanted. That is not true, she said. Last month I suggested the new restaurant downtown, I said. You said it was too expensive. I suggested the Italian place. You said you were not in the mood. I suggested cooking at home. You said you did not want to clean up. We ate cereal while you complained that we never do anything fun. She stared at her plate. I was having a bad day, she said quietly. You have been having a bad day for about 2 years, I answered. And somehow it is always my job to fix it. Marriage is about supporting each other, she said. Support, yes, I said. But performing like a trained SEAL to manage your emotions is something else. I finished eating and stood. Day 2 conclusion, I said. I forgot what it felt like to have my own opinions. Thank you for the reminder. I washed the dishes while she sat and thought. When I dried my hands, I turned back to her. 7 days remain in your evaluation period, I said. Here is some free feedback. Threatening to leave only works if the other person is afraid to lose you. I headed to the living room to read. I left her in the kitchen with that last thought hanging. Where are you going? She asked. To read, I said. Another thing I used to enjoy before most of my free time went to managing your dissatisfaction. We usually watch television together after dinner, she said. Usually, you pick the show and I pretend to like it, I replied. Tonight, I am choosing my own entertainment. I settled into my chair with a book that had been gathering dust for months. A few minutes later, Emily stood in the doorway. "This feels like punishment," she said. "No," I answered, eyes on the page. "Punishment would be giving you your own 9-day ultimatum. This is me remembering I am allowed to exist as a whole person, even inside a marriage." She lingered, then retreated to the couch. The television clicked on, but the volume was lower than usual. Day 2 was already changing things. Her ultimatum had not just put me on trial. It had also cut the string that kept me dancing. Day 3 opened with a new play from her. Bacon and coffee drifted down the hall. It was the first homemade breakfast I had seen in months. Emily stood at the stove in a robe, hair set like a commercial. "Good morning," she said with a polished smile. "I thought I would make us something nice before work." I poured coffee and watched the show. "Interesting timing," I said. "Day 3 of the evaluation, and suddenly you are a short-order cook." "I always make breakfast," she said. "You warm frozen waffles," I replied. "This is actual cooking. What is the occasion?" "Can I not do something kind for my husband?" she asked. "You can't," I said. "The question is why now, right after you send a message explaining how inadequate I am?" She flipped the bacon with more force than the bacon required. "I was hoping we could talk about your behavior yesterday." "My behavior?" I asked. "You were cold and distant, like you did not care about working on our marriage." I sat at the counter and studied her face. "Let me get this straight. You handed me an ultimatum." I responded by improving myself. "Your complaint is that I am not emotional enough about it?" "You are supposed to fight for us," she said. "Fight for us," I repeated, "or perform for you. Because there is a difference." She slid a plate in front of me. "I need to know you care about saving this marriage." "I do care," I said. "That is why I am using these 9 days to decide whether there is a marriage worth saving." Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means that for the first time in years, I am evaluating this relationship with clear eyes instead of just trying to keep you from exploding." "And what have you concluded so far?" she asked. I finished chewing and met her eyes. "That I have spent so much time tiptoeing around your moods I forgot to ask if I am happy." "So I make you unhappy?" she said. "You make me exhausted," I answered. "Different word. Same result." She put the fork down. "I cannot believe you are saying this. You opened this door when you graded me by text," I said. "Did you think I was not going to grade back?" "I was communicating my needs," she said, "by warning I would leave if you did not meet them." "That is not communication," I said. "That is pressure." The practice calm on her face started to crack. "Fine. What are your needs, since apparently I am failing too?" "I need a partner who does not turn every talk into a negotiation," I said. "I need someone who can disagree without making it personal. I need a wife who brings solutions, not just a list of problems." "I do contribute," she said. "Yesterday you complained I do not help around the house while I cooked and cleaned," I said. "This morning you are making breakfast for the first time in months because you realized your ultimatum backfired." She shot to her feet. "So nothing I do is good enough." "Now you know how I have felt for 2 years," I said. Silence stretched out. She was taking in the fact that her tactics were circling back. "This is not fair," she said. "I am trying to fix things." "No," I said. "You are trying to control things. Fixing means both of us pull. You have been running a one-person show, and I am supposed to guess my lines." I finished my plate and stood. "The bacon is good," I said. "You should cook more often instead of critiquing how I do it." "Where are you going?" she asked. "To work," I said. "The place I supposedly spend too much time, but where people value what I bring instead of hammering me for what I do not." I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. She followed. "We are not done talking," she said. "We are for now," I answered. "I have 7 days left to decide if I want conversations like this for the rest of my life." "You cannot walk away every time we disagree," she said. "I am not walking away from disagreement," I said. "I am walking toward a standard." Then I left for the day. I turned back to Emily. "Watch me," I said. "That is the gift of your 9-day ultimatum." It released me from standing here absorbing criticism dressed up as concern. "I was not criticizing you," she said. "You sent 3 paragraphs cataloging my failures with a deadline," I replied. "If that is not criticism, what would you call it?" Her mouth opened, then closed. "Nothing. Day 3 note," I said, pulling open the front door. "The person who threatens to leave is usually the one terrified of being left." I left her in the doorway, still chewing on that. At work, I felt lighter than I had in months. My assistant commented that I seemed sharper. At lunch, I called an old buddy I had drifted from. A pattern came into focus. I had trimmed away anything Emily did not approve of until all that remained was her approval, and it was never enough. That evening, she was in the living room with a glass of wine, posture set for round two. "We need to finish our talk from this morning," she said. "Do we?" I asked. It felt complete. "You felt I was controlling. I observed that you were controlling. Those are not the same thing." She took a long drink. "Give me examples." "Last weekend you asked what I wanted to do." I said golf. "You said it was too expensive." I suggested a hike. "You said it was too hot." I suggested a movie. "You said nothing good was playing." "We ended up shopping, which is what you wanted from the start." "I was trying to find something we both enjoy," she said. "No," I replied. "You removed every option I offered until your choice was the only one left. That is not compromise. That is steering." "I cannot believe you think I am manipulative," she said. "You graded me by text and expected panic." I said. "What would you call that?" "Silence." "Then, I was scared you were losing interest in our marriage. So instead of speaking to me, you threatened me." I said. "I wanted your attention," she said. "You have it," I said. "Just not the flavor you expected." I leaned forward. Day 3 conclusion. Fear-based tactics only hook people who are afraid. I am not afraid of you anymore. "You should be afraid of losing me," she said. "Should I?" I asked. From where I sit, the person vowing to walk does not look like much of a prize. Her wine glass stalled halfway up. Not the response she planned for. 6 more days, I said, standing. "Make them count." Day 4 delivered a punch I did not see coming. I was at lunch with my friend Dave Miller when he said, "Man, it is good to see you acting like yourself again. Your wife had you whipped there for a while." "What do you mean?" I asked. Dave shifted, suddenly awkward. "Forget I said that." "No," I said. "Say it." He sighed and set down his sandwich. "We all noticed you changed after you got married. Every time we invited you out, you had to check with Emily, and somehow there was always a reason you could not make it." "She never told me I could not go," I said. "She did not have to," Dave answered. "Your birthday 2 years ago, we tried to take you out. She suddenly had a migraine and needed you home. Last summer when we planned a fishing trip, she put a family barbecue on the same weekend without telling you. It kept happening." A cold weight settled in my gut. "What else?" "Are you sure you want it?" he asked. "Tell me," I said. Dave rubbed his face. "She talks about you to her friends. Lisa's wife heard Emily at the salon last month saying you do nothing romantic anymore, that you are boring in bed, that she does not know why she married you." I barely heard the restaurant anymore. "She said what?" "Lisa's wife said Emily got graphic," Dave said quietly. "Made it sound like you are some burden she carries." I stared down at my plate. While I had been tiptoeing to keep peace, Emily had been tearing me down for sport. "There is more," Dave added. "At the Hendersons' Christmas party, she told people you were going through a phase because you were working out and pushing for a promotion. She painted self-improvement like it was a personality defect." "Why did no one tell me?" I asked. "What were we supposed to say?" Dave answered. "Hey, your wife is trashing you. We figured you knew and were fine with it. Or you would see it on your own." I nudged food around with my fork, appetite gone. "She has been undercutting me." "Not sabotage, exactly," he said, "but it was not support. Maybe she was venting." "Do most people vent about their spouse's performance in bed to strangers at a hair salon?" I asked. Dave winced. "Probably not." I paid the check and drove back to the office with my mind racing. Everything snapped into focus. The steady criticism, the quiet undercutting, the way Emily trimmed my friendships and hobbies down to nothing. She had not been trying to repair our marriage. She had been wearing down my confidence one small cut at a time. That evening she greeted me in a surprisingly bright mood. "How was your day?" she asked. "Eye-opening," I said. "How was yours?" "Good. I had lunch with the girls. We are thinking about a weekend trip." "The girls from the salon?" I asked. Her smile twitched. "Among others." "What did you all talk about?" I asked. "You have had a lot to share with them lately." "Just normal things," she said. "Work. Life." "Right. Normal," I said. I went upstairs to change, leaving her staring after me. When I came back, she was setting plates on the table. "I picked up Chinese," she said. "Your favorite." "My favorite," I said. "Or what you have decided my favorite should be." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I said. "Making sure we are clear on preferences." We ate in near silence until she finally asked, "You seem different tonight. Distant." "I am sorting through some feedback," I said. "About work. About life. You learn a lot when you actually listen." "What kind of feedback?" she asked, shifting in her seat. "The kind that shows you have been living in a carefully staged version of reality," I said. "I do not understand." I set down my chopsticks. "Do you remember Lisa's wife from the Hendersons' Christmas party?" The color drained from her face. "What about her?" "Interesting woman," I said. "Great hearing." Silence spread across the table. She knew exactly where this was heading. "I do not know what you think you heard," she said. "I did not hear anything," I replied. "Lisa's wife did. She heard plenty about my romantic skills, my bedroom performance, how boring I am, and how you are not sure why you married me." Emily's mouth opened, then shut. "I was venting," she said. "To my friends." "Friends who do not know me?" I said. "Friends who now think I am an inadequate husband because of the stories you told." I was frustrated. I needed to talk to someone. "You could have talked to me," I said. "Instead, you chose to humiliate me in public and then play the long-suffering wife at home." She stood so fast her chair scraped. "It was not like that." "Then what was it like?" I asked. "Because from where I sit, it looks like you ran a quiet campaign to ruin my reputation while demanding I try harder to keep you happy." "I was not trying to hurt you," she said. "No," I said. "You were trying to collect sympathy by making me the problem. Different motive. Same result." I stood and began clearing the table. Day 4 revelation. I have been married to someone who treats me like material for her friends instead of a partner worth respecting. "That is not fair," she said. "Fair would have been keeping our private life private," I said. "Fair would have been talking to me about problems instead of broadcasting them. Fair would have been supporting my attempts to improve instead of mocking them to strangers." She trailed me into the kitchen. "I am sorry. I did not realize how it would sound." "You did not realize telling people your husband is boring and inadequate might sound bad," I said. "Your judgment is worse than I thought." "I was frustrated," she repeated. "And instead of bringing it to me, you aimed it at my name with people I have to face in public," I said. I loaded the dishwasher, turned, and looked her in the eye. Day 4 conclusion. Respect is not something you can demand while refusing to give it. You have shown me exactly how much respect you have. 5 more days, I said, heading for the stairs. Use them to figure out why any man would stay married to someone who turns him into gossip. I left her standing in the kitchen, finally grasping that her 9-day test exposed far more about her than about me. Day 5 opened with damage control. On my nightstand sat a handwritten note, the first I had seen from her in years. "I am sorry about what Dave told you. I never meant to hurt you. Can we please talk? Your wife who loves you." I folded it into my pocket. Amazing how quickly 9 days to prove yourself became, "Please talk to me," once the mirror faced the other way. At breakfast, she had fresh coffee and a speech ready. "I have been thinking all night about what you said," she began. "Have you?" I said. "I realize I made mistakes in how I handled my frustrations. I want to work on communicating better." "Communicating better," I said, "or managing the narrative better?" Her composure flickered. "I deserve that." "You deserve worse," I said evenly. "But we are still talking." I looked her straight in the eye. "Watch me," I said. "That is the beauty of your 9-day ultimatum. It freed me from standing here and swallowing criticism dressed up as concern." "I was not criticizing you," Emily said. "You sent 3 paragraphs listing my failures and stamped a deadline on them," I said. "If that is not criticism, what is it?" She started to answer, then shut her mouth. Nothing came. Day 3 note. I added, pulling open the door. "The one who threatens to leave is usually the one most scared of being left." I left her in the doorway with that thought. Work felt lighter than it had in months. My assistant said I looked dialed in. Over lunch, I called another old friend I had let slip away. The pattern was obvious now. I had deleted everything she did not approve of, until the only thing I ran on was her approval, and that ran out fast. That evening, Emily was curled on the couch with a glass of wine, ready for round 2. "We need to finish what we started this morning," she said. "Do we?" I said. "You accused me of being controlling. I pointed out that you control. Those are different." "Give me examples," she said. "Last weekend you asked what I wanted to do." I said golf. You said it was too expensive. I said hike. You said it was too hot. I said movie. You said nothing good was playing. We ended up shopping. Your plan all along. I was trying to find something we both enjoy, she said. No, I said. You eliminated everything I suggested until your choice was all that remained. That is not compromise. That is steering. I cannot believe you think I am manipulative, she said. You sent a performance review by text and expected me to panic, I said. What would you call that? She went quiet. Then, I was afraid you were losing interest in our marriage. So rather than talk to me, you tried to frighten me, I said. I wanted your attention, she said. You have it, I said. Just not the kind you planned on. Day 3 conclusion. Fear tactics work only on people who are afraid. I am not afraid of you anymore. You should be afraid of losing me, she said. Should I? I asked. From where I sit, the person threatening to walk does not look like much of a prize. Her glass hovered halfway to her lips. Not the script she wrote. 6 more days, I said, standing. Use them. Day 4 came with a hard truth from Dave Miller over lunch, and by the time I got home, everything clicked. The steady criticism, the isolation from friends, the small digs. She had not been trying to fix us. She had been sanding me down. The next morning, I asked her a simple question. What exactly triggered this sudden passion for better communication? The fact I learned about your public character assassination, or the fact I did not react to your ultimatum the way you expected? Both, she said quietly. I did not realize how my venting sounded to other people. You did not realize that calling your husband boring and inadequate might reflect poorly on him, I said. Your self-awareness is worse than I thought. She flinched. I was angry. So when you are angry, you humiliate me in public and demand I work harder in private, I said. That is the system. It was not that calculated, she said. Was it not? I asked. Step 1. Trim me away from friends who might give perspective. Step 2. Chip my confidence with constant criticism. Step 3. Broadcast my supposed failures to anyone who will listen. Sounds planned from where I stand. She sank into a chair. You are making me sound like a monster. I am describing what you do, I said. You use emotional pressure to control people. That is not who I am, she said. It is exactly who you are, I said. The difference is I am finally paying attention. She tried a new angle. What if we went to counseling? Counseling? I asked. So you can have a professional audience for your complaints? Or so we can work on our problems together? Our problems, she said. Yesterday they were my problems, I said. Today they are ours. She paused. I see I contributed to the issues. Contributed? I said. You created most of them. I was too busy managing your emotions to notice. I finished my coffee and stood. Day 5 observation. When manipulation stops working, manipulators always suggest counseling. It is the last attempt to find someone who will validate their victim's story. You will not even consider it, she asked. I will consider it, I said, right after you call everyone who heard your salon speech and tell them you lied about our marriage to get sympathy. Her face went white. I cannot do that. Cannot or will not? I asked. It would be humiliating. Now you know how I felt, I said. That evening I walked into dim lights, candles, soft music, the whole romantic ambush. Emily had a dress on and a smile pinned in place. I made reservations at that steakhouse you like, she said. The one you said was too expensive last month. I thought we could have a nice evening and talk. Talk about how sorry you are, I said, or how sorry you are that you got caught. The smile cracked. Why can you not accept my apology and move forward? Because your apology is a strategy, I said. You are not sorry you hurt me. You are sorry it backfired. That is not true, she said. Prove it, I said. Call Lisa's wife right now and say you lied about me. I did not lie, she said. So you stand by what you said? That I am boring and inadequate? I asked. She froze, cornered. I was exaggerating. Exaggerating to make me look bad so you could collect sympathy, I said. That is called lying. She blew out the candles too hard. Fine. You win. I am a terrible person who does not deserve forgiveness. There it is, I said. The victim act. When control fails and manipulation fails, become the wounded party. I am trying to fix this, she said. No, I said. You are trying to manage this. Fixing means you take responsibility, not just say you are sorry you were exposed. She stared a long time. What do you want from me? I want you to understand that respect is not optional, I said. I want you to grasp that loyalty means not trashing your spouse to strangers. I want you to know that partnerships do not include ultimatums and public humiliation. If you can do that, maybe there is something here. Maybe. Your record does not help your case. She slumped onto the couch. I do not know how to be married to this version of you. This is the same person you married, I said. I am just not performing for your approval anymore. I liked it better when you cared about making me happy, she said. I still care about your happiness, I said. I also care about mine. That is the part you struggle with. She went quiet for a long stretch. What happens after tomorrow? She finally asked. Tomorrow is day 6, I said. We still have time to see if there is a marriage to save. If there is not, you will get what you tried to scare me with at the start of this week. The difference is that it will be my choice, not your ultimatum. The color drained from her face. Her power move had boomeranged. I do not want us to end, she whispered. Then stop trying to control how we continue, I said. I went upstairs, leaving her alone with her staged romance and no audience. Day 5 made it clear she was running out of plays and starting to panic. The only tools that might work now were honesty and respect. Day 9 arrived with a text message, her final attempt to steer the wheel. Her message arrived first thing. Today is the day. Have you decided to fight for us? I read it over coffee and smiled. Even now, Emily could not resist steering the story, fight for us, as if there had been an us in years. It had been her demands and my compliance. At work, I wrapped up lingering tasks. My decision was made days ago, but I let her sit with the clock she started. That evening, I walked in and found her at the dining table with papers spread out like a project review. She looked up, eyes red. I wrote down everything I want to change about how I have treated you, she said. I glanced over the pages. 3 full sheets of promises and pledges. Impressive, I said. What sparked the sudden self-awareness? I realized I am about to lose the best thing in my life, she said. 9 days ago, you sent me a list of why I was not good enough, I said. Today, I am suddenly the best thing you have. I was scared and foolish, she said. I thought a threat would make you try harder. It did make me try harder, I said, just not in the direction you expected. She stood, voice tight. Please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. We can fix this. We, I repeated. Where was we when you were gossiping about me? Where was we when you sent an ultimatum instead of starting a conversation? I am different now, she said. This week changed me. This week did not change you, I said. It revealed you. The only question is whether you can truly change or just make better promises. Test me, she said, stepping closer. Give me a chance to prove it. I studied her face. Fear, desperation, and beneath it, the same calculating look I had seen for years. She was negotiating, not surrendering. Here is my decision, I said quietly. I am done. She flinched like the word struck. What? 9 days ago you dealt an ultimatum like you held all the cards, I said. You were wrong. You showed me exactly how you see me, how you treat me, and how little respect you have for our marriage. But I apologized, she said. I wrote down everything I want to change. You wrote down what you think I want to hear, I said. Just like you have been performing all week, trying combinations of tactics to pull me back under control. Tears spilled. I love you. No, I said. You love the idea of me. The version that swallowed criticism, managed your emotions, and never challenged your behavior. That is not true, she said. It is exactly true, I said. The moment I stopped performing, you panicked. The moment I began evaluating you the way you evaluated me, you could not handle it. She was sobbing now. Please do not do this. I will do anything. There it is, I said. I will do anything. The desperation you expected from me when you sent that first message. I picked up my keys. The difference is I respect myself too much to beg someone to treat me decently. Where are you going? She asked. To Mike's, I said. I will be back tomorrow for my things. You cannot just leave, she said. I turned once more. I am not leaving. I am choosing myself over someone who treated me like a project to fix instead of a partner to respect. But the 9 days are not over, she said. They are for me, I said. Days 1 through 8 told me everything I needed to know. Day 9 is me acting on it. She followed me to the door. You are making a mistake. The mistake was staying this long, I said. Thank you for the ultimatum. It reminded me what I am worth. I walked out, leaving her in the doorway of a house that had never felt like home. 3 months later, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked worn out, but tried to smile. How are you? She asked. Better than I have been in years, I said. I kept hoping you would call, she said. I kept hoping you would figure out why I would not, I answered. She nodded, eyes wet. I understand now. Too late, but I understand. Good luck, I said, and meant it. As I turned away, she called out. You really would have stayed if I had just treated you better, would you not? I looked back one last time. The man you married would have. He does not exist anymore. The woman who gave me 9 days to prove my worth had taught me something priceless. I am worth more than begging for basic respect. Some lessons cost a lot, but once learned, they change everything.